Okay, everybody, welcome back to the DanaBuckler Show. My name is Dana, and I'm actually recording in Austin, Texas right now with Jessica and Ryan Kite. How are you both doing?
How's it going? I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
And having me.
Absolutely. So we're in Austin, Texas right now. This is consider this to be like a remote episode. So throughout the day, you and I, or throughout the day, the three of us, we've just been talking about so many different movies and
rambling.
Wanted to have you both on the podcast, and we were trying to come up with some creative ways or ideas. And then it just kind of hit me. I'm like, we name a movie and then we go down this rabbit hole of conversation. So why not just do something a little different, a little fun? Who knows where this goes? So as the title of this episode says, Random Movie Memories. So what I asked Ryan and Jessica to do was to write down the name of 5 movies. Each of you write down the name of 5 movies. I wrote down the name of 5 movies. We don't know what each other wrote. We put them on a piece of paper. We put them in my Jaws lunchbox.
Your wonderful Jaws lunchbox that you just got where?
Dana, do you like the Jaws movie? I didn't know that.
Interestingly enough, Ryan, it is actually my favorite movie.
Does he like the Jaws movie?
I
really?
knew that.
I was in New York City and went and saw a Broadway play called The Shark is Broken, which was all about sort of the chaotic behind the scenes.
Get with the times. Obviously, you don't follow DanaBuckler Show.
Oh, I do. It was a facetious question.
There we go.
Thank you for answering.
Oh, of course. But we were just earlier in Fredericksburg, Texas, which I had never been before. You guys were gracious enough to take me there. And it has, the way it was sort of, I took it as it's an old German settlement in the middle of Texas.
Yeah, Dana, don't feel too special. We take everybody who comes here there. So
fair enough. We did walk into one. I don't want to call it a souvenir shop, but it was. It had a lot of different unique items in there. We walked in, and Jesse immediately pointed to the Jaws lunchbox.
I knew he'd love it.
But you tried to talk him out of buying it, Jess.
Because it's a lunchbox. Okay, he is a 45-year-old man, and it is a lunchbox for a kindergartner. But I made a mistake because the Jaws lunchbox is fantastic, and you look so cute carrying it around all of Fredericksburg on the street.
Back to school.
The only thing I was upset was
show my dad I'm not a fool. I got my shoes tied tight,
my boots tight. I hope I don't
get in a fight. Oh, back to school. You think Dana would know that one?
Well, obviously he doesn't. So anyway.
So I was, to my disappointment, though, there wasn't a thermos inside when I opened
there's not a thermos.
There's not a thermos.
For $25, there should have been a flippin' thermos.
Should have been a thermos.
You could have had your SpaghettiOs in there.
So
your Campbell's soup.
So here are the rules for random movie memory, all right?
Pudding packs.
So here's what's going to happen. We do not know what the movies are in here. I know 5 of them. Jesse, you know 5 of them. Ryan, you know 5 of them. But we have no idea. And
Jesse may know 6 of them.
There might be a little surprise.
She did a little peeking.
There might be a little surprise for my boys here. I threw a little extra in there just because.
Debbie Does Dallas?
Close.
Oh.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab the first movie, and we're just going to name it, and we're just going to talk about the film, whether we've seen it, what we think of it, and it's okay to hurt feelings here. So if you're not a fan,
that'll never happen.
If you're not a fan of the movie, it's okay to express, but you have to express why you're not a fan of the movie.
No problem.
Okay?
No problem.
All right. So there's 15 movies here. I don't know if we'll have enough time to go through them all, but we're going to start with one and just kind of sort of set the pace.
So exciting.
The first movie on this episode, entitled Random Movie Memories. Oh, this is a movie I added to the list from 1986, Aliens.
Oh, I love that movie.
Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, yeah. Directed by
James Cameron.
Not who I always say, and you always correct me.
Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott.
Right.
So Ridley Scott did direct the 1979 original. Mm-hmm. Ridley Scott did go on to direct the 2 sequels, Prometheus and Alien Covenant. But a lot of people, this is good. I'll start the conversation by saying, in the discussion of the greatest sequels ever made, this one is always in the discussion. So that people always say The Godfather Part 2, Terminator 2, Empire Strikes Back, and Aliens. I think if you were to put together a comprehensive list of the 5 greatest sequels of all time, no question Aliens is going to be on there. So where does this film stack up for you, Ryan, when it comes to the greatest sequels of all time?
Oh, that's a great question, but it's not up there for me. It's not anything I ever got into. I always thought it was over the top.
He's too young.
And I am too young. Where I usually watched it was on TNT, and it was always interrupted with commercials.
Yeah, commercials, and it would have been heavily edited as well.
Big time. And then I went to Iraq, and every time I saw a camel spider, I was scared to death because they looked just like the alien coming out of the stomach. I'm going to pass this one off on to Jess. This one isn't my expertise.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, Dana and I totally agree about Alien 2 being a fantastic sequel, probably one of the better sequels, but scared the wajibis out of me. First of all, Alien, I was very young. I remember peeking around the corner when my mom and dad were watching Alien, and I couldn't handle it. I had nightmares for not just days or weeks. I mean, to this day, I still am afraid of that movie. But then Aliens came out. I was a little bit older, and I got to watch that on a VCR tape in my VCR. So I would watch it over and over again, but only during the day, not at night. But Newt, right down to "get away from her, you bitch" on that robotic thing at the end, which she was on, that was one of my favorite scenes.
What they do there, and what's really clever with that ending scene where she's in sort of like that mech suit, if you will, is at the beginning of the movie when they're preparing for the mission. She's talking to the Marines and is like, "Is there anything I can do?"
Badass.
And
bitch,
the sergeant goes, "I don't know. Is there anything you can do?" And she's like, "Well, I can drive that loader." And they're all laughing, ha ha ha. And then she gets in and she can drive it. So that's really brilliant foreshadowing by James Cameron. And at the end, when you see her coming out in the suit, you're like, "Oh, she knows how to use that."
Name a movie Sigourney Weaver's not good in, where she's not a badass.
No, listen, I agree with you.
Copycat.
Oh, well, Copycat's awesome. But here's a question for you guys. If you're in the future on a spacecraft, would you opt in to be cryogenically frozen? Or would you want to stay and be like an Interstellar, right? He doesn't do it, and he stays. The guy that he gets old. Would you guys rather get old through the mission, or would you rather be cryogenically frozen?
Do I get to have my orange cat with me?
And not have any control of what happens to the ship?
My cat's with me in the pod.
Ryan, that's really
frozen.
Really interesting you say that, because that was one of the parts of Interstellar that really messed with me when I saw it in the theater. Because they go down to the one planet that's got the giant waves, and they say, I think every hour we're there is like 2 years.
Something like that, yeah.
And so they're there for a while, and they come back. The guy had been there for like 26 years.
Yeah, he's got gray in his beard. And
I'm just trying to what do you do for 20? I can't remember what I was doing 2 years ago, let alone 26 years. Yeah. All right, so that was the first one. All right,
that was great.
All right, so I'm going to go.
Babe.
All right, so I'm going to go around real quick. Aliens. Jess, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
Ryan, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Hey, I love the movie, but it's not what you asked me about the sequel for me.
Okay, so for me, it's a definite thumbs up. All right, so the next movie on Random Movie Memories is, well, here's a surprise, The Revenant. All right, so
I don't think I've seen it.
So I'm going to assume, Jess, that you added The Revenant to this.
Why would you think that?
So, I'll turn it over to you first. Before I turn it over to you first, I will say that The Revenant is one of those movies, when you watch it, I get anxiety watching the movie because of what it must have taken to film that movie. I mean, from what I understand, the director of photography, they used no studio lights. It was all natural lighting. And
special cameras.
The environment that they were in did not look like it was going to be like when they were done filming for the day that everyone went back to a 5-star hotel. It just looked like a brutal, brutal experience. But The Revenant's one of your all-time favorite movies. So why did you add this to your Random Movie Memories?
Well, I'm a huge Leonardo DiCaprio fan, but he finally won his Oscar that was well-deserved after all the nominations he got for other well-deserved Oscar nods. But he finally won. He more than nailed the role. And during the filming of The Revenant, so many people quit and they walked off set because they just couldn't handle the terrain, the conditions of the weather. And so many times they had to go to different areas of the country to try to find all that cold weather. They did most of it in Canada, I believe.
That's where a lot of the fur trading was in Canada, on the Lewis and Clark Trail type area.
The bear scene in it. So let's just go right to the bear scene, okay? Tom Hardy. Okay, back it up. Tom Hardy, wonderful performance. Even though I had a hard time always understanding his speaking and what he was saying, but I understand that's because.
So that's something I wanted to add when it was my turn. But is
go
Tom Hardy, when he takes on a role, obviously he's English and Obviously he's English, and he takes on many different American roles, and how he can portray any different type of region in America, and like historically just nail it. He just
well-rounded actor.
I was going to say that Tom Hardy was actually my favorite.
Got nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
So on The Revenant, I actually read the book twice before I even watched the movie. And I actually watched the movie the first time with our mother, who, when she says about anxiety, our mom was like sitting on the edge of her seat the whole time, the whole grizzly bear encounter.
There were two men in that grizzly bear costume. There was two men, and there were two men that made that work. But that was probably the best. What would be called cinematography?
Realistic cinematography.
Well, they won an Oscar for that, but that was one of the best animal scenes, attacks in a movie that I had ever watched, because I was on the edge of my seat.
Well, watching that scene in the theater, one of the things that really stuck with me was how long it goes on for.
Yes.
that bear
Complete
attack.
torture.
Well, that's how badass Hugh Glass is.
Yeah, Hugh Glass. Based on a true story. Not all, like the end is a little different from the book. That's not, they're true events. But I just, from the beginning, from what it captured me, from the way the natives were, right down to the how graphic the scenes were, how war goes, how you're when you're under attack. I was just moved and captivated by the whole film.
It is an awesome film. I love The Revenant.
All right.
Hugh Glass is a real person. He was a real fur trader. Captain, what was the captain's name? You remember?
The redhead.
Yeah, he was redhead in the movie, but he was
actor.
Captain. It's Captain
McGillicuddy?
Henry. Was it Henry?
Captain McGillicuddy.
I don't remember his name. But then the boy, what was the boy's name?
He was not Falcon. He was Hawk. Hawk, his native son.
No, not his native son.
Pawnee. He was Pawnee.
Not his native son. The one who was with
Oh,
Tom
the
Hardy.
one that when they actually. Oh, did you know that Leonardo DiCaprio actually really ate buffalo's heart for that movie? He actually really ate that buffalo's heart to get into his character.
I'm not
and he
surprised
actually
to learn
vomited
that.
right on the set.
I'm not surprised though. That I mean, look, Jason and I did a whole episode on the filmography of Leonardo DiCaprio, and we looked at all the movies that he was nominated for, Academy Awards, and we were always making the case that he should have won for this, he should have won for that, he should have won for this, and we kind of felt like The Revenant was the legacy award. Like, all right, you've done so many movies, we're just going to give it to you. And I kind of thought that for a little bit, but when you and I rewatched that film a couple weeks ago, I said, oh, not only did he deserve the Academy Award for previous work, but he most definitely deserved the Academy Award for this performance, because it is an incredible endurance test that he went through.
Name a movie Leonardo DiCaprio did to where he didn't deserve his Oscar nod.
Yeah, no, it's very few.
And then, so for anyone to say that, oh, okay, so let's just give it to him, that would just be, I just think that would be absurd. Because I think he deserves an Oscar in every movie that he's done, because I think he's that good. Or it could be that I just have a crush on the guy.
It could be a combination of both.
Even though he's too skinny for me. But anyway, those blue eyes. But that's not why.
Okay,
He
so
nailed it.
closing thoughts on The Revenant, Ryan.
1 second. let me do a little trivia for you.
All right, go.
On The Revenant. What is one actor from the Peaky Blinders that played in The Revenant?
Tom Hardy.
No.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. There's two actors,
McKellen?
and that is one. Tom Hardy, very good.
Oh, yeah.
So
I loved him. I love him in Peaky Blinders.
So
Isn't it
Tommy Shelby's brother,
Killian?
Arthur, was in The Revenant as...
The blonde who got mad, that's why he stopped Peaky Blinders, because he got mad because he wanted to be paid more.
right, the actor's name is Paul Anderson.
And he's a
He
very,
plays Arthur.
very good
Shelby.
actor. And now I love
right.
Arthur? I got the wrong one. Okay.
That's all right. All right,
Arthur's
so
a
going around the
badass,
room,
too.
I'll go thumbs up for The Revenant. Jess, you'll go thumbs up for
I
The
need to
Revenant.
think about it.
And
I give 2 thumbs up for The
thumbs up.
Revenant, and if you are a book reader, the book's awesome.
all right.
I give it 1 thumbs up and 1 pug thumb up because I'm missing a joint in my other thumb.
1.5.
1.5 thumbs up.
All right, so that was The Revenant. Next movie on Random Movie Memories. Oh, it's another one I added to the list. This one is Batman from 1989. This is the Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, Kim Basinger movie. So I'll start by saying that I was 11 years old when this movie came out. And I can tell you, as an 11-year-old, there was not a movie ever that I wanted to see more than this Batman movie. The marketing campaign
I'm Batman.
For this film started 6 months before it came out, and this was the movie to see in 1989. Everybody wanted to see this film, and I've told the story numerous times on the podcast, so I'll just give the Cliff Notes version. My parents had a date night one night, and part of that date night was to take my brother and I to the movie theater. They would drop us off. They would go have dinner for a couple hours. They come back and pick us up. So when we get to the movie theater, my parents give my brother and I money for the movie. We walk up to the box office. We say 2 for Batman. I'm 11. He's 12. The box office attendant says, okay, well, how old are you? We proudly proclaim how old we are. And then the ticket attendant leans in and says, well, you have to be at least 13 to see this movie. And my parents were not there. So we were just like crushed, mortified. So the only movie that we were able to get into was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Classic.
But wait, so you were able to see a movie.
So we were able to see a movie, but I couldn't even tell you what happened in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I was so disappointed that I wasn't getting to see Batman. When the movie was over, we met with my parents, and my mom leaned in and said, so how was Batman? And we were just like, we didn't see it.
Obviously before cell phones.
Oh, yeah, 1989.
Obviously.
So
Very obvious.
So what happens is my mom looks at my dad and then looks at us and says, well, are you kids tired? I said, no. They said, well, let's go see Batman. They took us to the 9 o'clock showing.
What a great memory.
That's awesome.
So that is a memory.
You didn't beep them? You didn't page them and say, can you come back?
No. How do I do that back then?
You didn't have a pager?
You didn't get him on the car phone?
But I remember to really put like a big punctuation on this film was the casting choice of Michael Keaton to play Batman. People were outraged at that idea. They said that is the worst idea of all time. Michael Keaton, the comedic actor, Mr. Mom, he's going to play Batman.
Was this before Beetlejuice or was it after Beetlejuice?
This is Beetlejuice is 88. This is 89. So he's still a comedic actor though. That's still a comedy. Batman was, this, dark, mysterious, crime fighter, and everybody said this is the worst casting choice of all time.
It's better than what's the vampire movie in Forks, Washington? Twilight. It's better than the Twilight actor being Batman.
Well, yeah. Listen,
Pattinson.
Did you see that movie?
I started it, but it was just a little too boring for me, and I had to turn it off.
I'm going to give you a perfect example, Ryan. You were showing me your Blu-ray collection last night, and you pointed out The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, and I commented to you that in 2012, I saw The Dark Knight Rises 3 times in one weekend. And that movie is 2 hours and 50 minutes long. And
So you're telling me you didn't have a life back then?
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, that's how much I love that movie. So I say this because that runtime for The Dark Knight Rises did not bother me at all. I was only upset when the movie was over because I wanted more. Compare that to the Robert Pattinson Batman movie, which is the same length. It is also 2 hours and 50 minutes long. And I remember I must have checked my watch 10 times. Like, how much longer is this going to go on?
You guys didn't like that movie that much? Nothing caught you?
It was so painfully boring. And I have said this, Jason and I did a whole episode on that movie. And it is just like so many of those scenes in that Pattinson Batman could have been solved if they just used a cell phone.
Oh, you're talking about the Robert Pattinson Batman. I didn't even see it. And as far as Twilight goes, I only saw the first one, so I didn't love Twilight.
Hey, listen, Peter Facinelli's been a guest on my show twice. We love Twilight here.
I like Twilight, but I didn't see the others.
I love Twilight. At the DanaBuckler show, we love Twilight. Peter,
you know what? I changed mine. I do love Twilight. I really love it.
Because Peter, if you're listening, we love Twilight.
Before we move on from that, I just want to say...
the Twilight thing?
No, we actually haven't... you guys haven't said anything about Batman 89 yet.
I want to say about Batman 89 is 2 things. Number 1, Kim Basinger's hair, fantastic. Me being a hairstylist, I love hair. Kim Basinger's hair is beautiful. Number 2, the soundtrack. Love the soundtrack.
Prince.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Prince.
So side note, I was born in 87, so I didn't really think to watch that movie,
Who invited this guy?
But
I'm a little younger.
But have you seen it?
I don't know if I've seen it or not. I've seen so many Batmans that it's unbelievable. The only Sorry.
You have seen the movie but you don't remember it because I used to play it on my VCR tapes, and then you were sitting there as a little toddler, little tight guy, and it would be on, but you don't remember it. But,
Well, the thing is that I don't remember because I have a deep following for the Chris Nolan Batman.
Sure, and that's understandable.
But one of my favorite non-Chris Nolan Batmans is the one with the Penguin.
Yeah, so that's going to be Batman Returns.
Right.
That came out in 92. And that was also directed by Tim Burton. So the original Batman 89 is directed by Tim Burton, and he's only made two movies up until that point. He did 1985's Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which R.I.P.
favorite.
R.I.P. Paul Rubens. He passed away about a month ago, which was one of my all-time favorite movies. Then in 88, he makes Beetlejuice, which is a modest hit at the time, but has become a beloved classic. Everybody loves Beetlejuice. So not only is Michael Keaton playing Batman got people up in arms, but everyone is like, who's this Tim Burton guy? And why is he directing Batman? Batman goes on to be the highest grossing movie of 1989, and Tim Burton is able to make whatever movie he wants for the rest of his career.
Didn't he come out with some animated flick?
So he's
Nightmare Before Christmas.
So he actually didn't direct that movie. He produced it. He wrote it. His company oversaw it. He served as a producer on that film. But the movie he makes after Batman in 1989 is 1990's Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, I love that movie.
So that is the studio saying, all right, you have made the highest grossing movie of the year. You can now make whatever you want. And so he makes Edward Scissorhands.
Johnny Depp's hair in that movie reminds me a lot of Jessica's clients after she's done.
Thank you. And would you think that Edward Scissorhands kind of resembles Beetlejuice in a way?
Oh,
for sure.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And then Warner Brothers says, well, we have to do a Batman sequel. And so he makes Batman Returns, which, to remember the marketing campaign for Batman Returns, when he made 89 Batman, the studio was all over him. You can't be too dark. You can't do this. You have to do that. Can't be this. They had all kinds of studio notes. When he decided to make the sequel for Batman, he told Warner Brothers, I'll make it, but I'm making my movie. And this is the one with the Penguin.
Didn't McDonald's really market
that's where I'm going with it.
yeah.
So McDonald's does this partnership with him where, you could get the Batman Returns collectible cups and all that stuff. And McDonald's goes all in on the marketing for Batman Returns, which is a hyper violent movie compared to the original one. And parents were outraged and started boycotting McDonald's for backing this movie. So cancel culture was a thing even 30 years ago.
I remember when Batman Returns came out, I was probably 6, 7.
I saw that with my sister Lisa.
And my mom, I would always ask my mom to go, let's give me a Happy Meal because I wanted to collect Batman Returns. They were cool mugs, man.
They
Just go to any thrift store, yard sale. You can find any of the McDonald's
let me tell you
toys
something.
you want.
If you can find the Batman Returns cups in good condition, they are collector's items because McDonald's pulled them shortly after the movie came out.
Knowing our mother, they're up in the attic.
So, all right. So I'm going to go around the room. Jesse, thumbs up for Batman 89?
I'll give it my pug thumb up. Not 2 though.
Okay. Ryan, you have to rewatch it.
I'm going to give it a half thumb, halfway up and down thumb.
Okay. I'm going to go
neutral thumb. There we go.
I'm going to go 2 thumbs up. Big movie for me at the time it came out. All right. So that was Batman from 1989. The next one on the list is another one I picked. I promise you guys, I'm 1993, celebrating its 30th anniversary. Michael Douglas in Falling Down.
Interesting that you choose that.
Interesting movie, huh?
Yeah, I haven't thought of that in a long time.
Now, for those who not remember,
never seen it.
Falling Down tells that Michael Douglas plays a guy on his way to work in Los Angeles.
Blue collar guy.
Suit and tie on his way to work.
Bad haircut.
He snaps. He has enough. Now he's going through
Isn't he in L.A. or something?
Yeah, he's in L.A.
I have seen it. I'm sorry.
The movie opens up with him in his car on rush hour traffic. The air conditioner's not working. Everything's annoying, and he just gets up and leaves, and then just decides to wreak havoc on the city of Los Angeles. I don't want to get too much into the plot of the movie because it hasn't. Some of it hasn't aged well, but he's very good in the movie.
Very.
Yeah, I've only seen it once, and it was one of those TNT flicks were, but so it's not real memorable for me. But it is funny that you brought it up.
Now tell me, was he nominated for anything
No,
for that?
no.
That's unfortunate.
It was a controversial movie at the time when it came out because
What is the what is it?
well, the
I'm
controversy,
interested.
like for example, in one of his, I'll call it first episodes, is he is trying to get change for the phone, so he goes into a Korean grocery store, a Korean-owned grocery store, and asks for change, and the clerk tells him, "No, you have to buy something." He just wants change for $1 so he can use the phone, and he wants to buy something, and like he grabs a can of Coke out of the cooler, and the guy says 85 cents. And he's like, come on, I just, but then he ends up like destroying this guy's store. And like, so there's a scene where he goes to a fast food restaurant and wants to order breakfast, but it's 10:31 and they stop serving breakfast at 10:30. And so he ends up pulling out a Mac 10 and like holding the place hostage. So like a lot of this stuff hasn't aged well.
Right.
So,
But it's just kind of a movie where it's like a sequence of bad events leads up to one really bad event.
and you start to learn along the way why he is the way he is. He's got a troubled, he's estranged from his ex-wife who has full custody of his daughter, and he wants to go see her. So you start to learn more. And Robert Duvall plays the cliche role of a police detective on his last day on the job. And so it's his last day before retirement, and then he pulls this case of having to track down Michael Douglas. So do you remember the movie, Jesse?
Absolutely. And Robert Duvall, what a powerful actor. And I don't know why I didn't write down any Robert Duvall movies because I love him, but I do.
Is Robert Duvall still alive?
He is still alive.
Yes. But that movie, going back to that, it's not one that I watched multiple times, but I do remember watching it and I thought, wow, this is. I don't think it was the normal Michael Douglas movie.
No. This is the movie he made after Basic Instinct.
Right. So I like it that he took on that role. We were very young when that movie came out, but even then I thought, wow, that's not the typical Michael Douglas because I'm a huge Michael Douglas fan.
What's your favorite Michael Douglas
Let me answer that. I can already tell you it's Fatal Attraction.
It is. It's Fatal Attraction.
I like The Game.
The Game is good.
It's very good. I like the one with Gwyneth Paltrow and Viggo Mortensen where they have the affair. What is it?
I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, goodness. It's a really good movie. But also, of course, Romancing the Stone.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Romancing. Go ahead.
I have a Robert Duvall movie in there. Do you want to take a guess?
The
You want to take a
Judge.
guess what it is?
If it's
Days of Thunder.
It's probably Days of
It's
Thunder.
Four Christmases.
I'm going to give you a hint. It has something to do with the state you're in.
Oh, okay. All right.
State of Fear?
Oh, no. I already know.
The state, like the physical,
Yep.
geographical state you're in.
I'm going to take a guess and say it's The Apostle.
We'll have to find out.
All right. So let's go around the room. So thumbs up for Falling Down. For me, yes, it's a thumbs up.
Very much so. A thumbs up.
Same here. I'm glad you reminded me because I'm going to rewatch that movie because that's such a great. It's like one of those suspense thriller movies that you have to
And
really.
that is part of
He had a flat top in that movie, guys. Not
He
everyone
did,
can wear a
and-
flat top.
And I think he had the pin blocker
he had
on
the
his
he had the pocket protector. Yeah.
It's so
yeah.
good.
So-
it reminds me of Speed in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So moving on to the next one, we have. Oh my. I actually saw this in the theater. If you can,
Is it one of mine?
I'm going to assume you put this on the list because Jesse and I talk movies all the time, and I've never heard you bring this movie up before.
Can I guess which one you're looking at?
Yes, go ahead.
Striptease.
That is exactly the one. Striptease from 1996. Okay, so
Whoa, this movie is, oh man, a lot of puberty things for me on this movie.
so
Gross.
So here's my limited history with the movie Striptease, because this came out in 96. 96 was a big year for me. That was the year I turned 18, moved out on my own, and purposely found an apartment that was within walking distance of a multiplex, so I could
So
just.
you had wet dreams too.
So,
my brother.
but the
His probably weren't in his dreams.
But 96 was an interesting year for movies. There was big ones that came out: Independence Day, Twister, The Rock. There was a lot of really good movies. The
Rock.
That's it right there. That's it. So the big story behind this film, behind Striptease, was that Demi Moore was getting paid $20 million to be in this film.
Hey, I'd show my tits for 20 mil.
I don't know if I agree with your detective work there, Dana.
No?
I think it was $12.5 million.
Oh.
The record to be broken by Meg Ryan for doing what was that movie with Russell Crowe?
Somebody did their homework.
The Proof of Life.
How did you know?
So she made $12.5 million in that movie. They paid her $12.5
How
to
did
show her
you know to
boobies.
do the homework, though, if you weren't peeking
I
at
know
my
this.
list? What city did striptease take place
Las
in?
Vegas, duh.
Miami.
Detroit.
Miami Dolphins. Are
Probably Birmingham, Alabama.
So, well, then I stand corrected. I thought this was a $20 million. But anyway, she got a huge payday for.
I'll have to
for this
fact
movie.
check that one, Dana.
I did see this in the theater. However, I didn't see the whole movie because putting aside the fact that she gets naked in the movie, which you can see her naked and about last night.
Before boobs.
Yes.
I don't know. She looked the best she's ever looked in that movie.
I
so.
thought the movie was not great.
She had her breasts removed after she did G.I. Jane. And then she had her breast removed after that. Now she doesn't have those implants anymore.
See, I would have preferred her to be bald in striptease as well.
She looked great with a bald head.
She
did she not?
She did look really
and
good
what
in
a
G.I. Jane.
badass in G.I. Jane.
So what do you remember about the movie Striptease, Jess?
All I remember about the movie Striptease is because I was in my probably late teens when that movie came out, is the iconic scene where she comes out on the stage and she rips her shirt open and there's the perfect set of jugs.
And do you remember what song she was dancing to?
Yes, it was Copacabana.
I think it was the Eurythmics. I think she was dancing to
Tiny Dancer?
An
It
Eurythmics
was
song.
the Copacabana. Can you just imagine her coming out to
The hottest spot north of Havana.
So I'm gonna say I don't know where you guys stand on this one, but I have never revisited the film since seeing it in the theater.
Watch it together with your significant other or your relationship because you'll end up doing it by the end of the movie. But you might not get to watch it again.
Oh, that's foreplay. Maybe for your next baby, Ryan.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna go for me personally, and again, this is everyone we have our own opinions. I'm gonna go thumbs down on Striptease. What about you, Jess?
Lack of knowledge. I'm going to be fair to this movie because I'm a Demi Moore fan. I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
Okay, and Ryan.
Thumbs up, of course, for
All
me.
right. So that was 1996's Striptease.
Mm-hmm.
The next one.
No one ever picks my movies.
All right, here we go. Next one. Are you guys ready? Random.
mine.
I think
movie
that was
memories.
the first one we've done of mine. Yours was Revenant.
Well, we've got another one from Jesse.
Oh, goody.
I already know. This is going to be 2000's Gladiator.
Ooh. Awesome, Jess.
Jess, you did add this to the list.
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
All right, so welcome back.
Scottish?
Welcome back to the show, Ridley Scott. We talked about Ridley Scott earlier, so this is a Ridley Scott directed movie. Interesting that Ridley Scott does two movies the same year, okay? Gladiator and Black Hawk Down. He does both of those movies in the same year.
Two amazing movies.
Like, that's incredible. So Gladiator, of course, goes on to win Best Picture. Russell Crowe's in the excellent film.
So does he have to do those separate within? Does he have to do two movies basically in 6 months? They both. If you do two movies in 12 months, do they have to do it in 6 months?
Technically speaking, there are rules. Like, the directors, just like actors, are in a union. It's called the DGA, the Directors Guild of America, and they have specific rules. You are not allowed to be working on directing two movies at the same time. So it's not like he could spend a week working on Gladiator, then fly to wherever they were filming Black Hawk Down and spend a week there. Principal photography for each film has to be done separately. They're not allowed to overlap. Having said that, you are allowed to have a movie finished filming and you can be editing a film while working on another one. Perfect example of that, 1993, Schindler's List, Jurassic Park, Steven Spielberg. Both of those movies came out in 1993. So while he was filming Schindler's List, when he was over in Germany filming Schindler's List, in the evenings, he was working on editing Jurassic Park. But you can't film two movies at the same time. So if that answers your question.
Why was this movie called a terrible movie? It got terrible reviews.
Who is calling Gladiator a terrible movie?
It was called, when I was doing my research on it, they called it a terrible movie because it was inaccurate.
Oh, sure. So that, of course, people are going to say that it wasn't factually accurate. The same thing could be said about Braveheart.
And The Revenant, by the way,
Yeah,
because that was another thing that was not factually
But I should
accurate.
ask you this question. When watching Gladiator, if it's not factually accurate, are you still entertained?
Entertained?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's all that matters.
And so I remember where I was when this movie came out. I was about 21 years old. I was working at Regis in the Crystal River Mall, my first hair job. And of course, the movie theater was catty corner from Regis. And my friend Val was coming to meet me up there. We were going to go see the late showing of Gladiator. And I didn't know anything about Russell Crowe. He was new. I don't think he had any. This was his first movie, right?
Well,
No, he had a few Australian movies.
He had also done The Insider, the 1999 Michael Mann movie with Al Pacino, and was nominated for Best Actor
This
the year
was
before.
my first time being introduced to.
Well, don't worry. Most people didn't see The Insider in theater, so.
So I went to the late showing, and I just remember being just blown away by it. I loved it. I to this day, after all these years, it just celebrated its 20-year anniversary, I believe.
Well, it came out in 2000, so it would have been 2020 that it celebrated its 20th anniversary.
So it's been a long time. I still watch it at least 4 and 5 times a year. Anytime it's on TV, I go right to Gladiator. It's one of my all-time favorites. It used to be Gladiator. Now it's The Revenant.
Well, interesting, if I may, up until a month ago when the actors went on strike, they were in the middle of filming Gladiator 2.
I'm going to ask you about that. How do you feel
with
about
Ridley
that?
Scott.
Because it's not, I know you told me before, we've had this discussion that you don't love the movie Gladiator.
It's not that I don't love it. It's not that I don't love it. It's just it's not a movie that I like. If someone said, "Hey, do you want to watch Black Hawk Down or Gladiator?" 2 Ridley Scott movies that came out the same year,
completely different
I would say,
kinds of
"I'll watch
movies,
Black
though.
Hawk Down every day of the week."
I love the way Gladiator makes me feel at the end. When he's floating through the grass with his hands in there.
Absolutely.
Makes you want to actually experience death and go into heaven. That's the way it made me feel.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. But
Maybe I just hate myself.
I love the actress who plays in that movie at the end, and when she says, "Honor him. He was a soldier of Rome." She was so beautiful, and I loved her earrings.
Was she in 300? Was she
Yes.
the wife in 300 too?
She was, absolutely. And she played in that movie with Robin Williams, Photograph. I think it's Photo.
1 Hour
Booth?
Photo?
1 Hour Photo.
Oh, wait, when he was a serial killer?
Yep. She played in that movie. And she played in another serial killer movie as well. I believe it took place in Alaska. Can't remember the name, doesn't matter. She's a really, really good actress.
Well, let's not forget Joaquin Phoenix's role in that movie. Yeah,
Jacques
Joaquin.
River Phoenix's brother. But back to that, actually, I wish I knew her name. I wish we could pull it up and know her because she had natural freckles, just like Julianne Moore, which is another fantastic, one of my favorite actresses. Any woman
Connie Nielsen.
Connie Nielsen. Anybody with natural red hair and natural freckles, I just think is so beautiful.
All right. Thanks.
But I just want you guys to know, do you know how Marcus Aurelius actually died?
I don't. No.
Well, they think Commodus killed him, but he actually died from an epidemic. He died from an epidemic. He did not die from
Was it a
Commodus.
coronavirus?
I believe it was. Or it might have been the monkeypox.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you for sharing that. I just want to go. This is not
Please
joint
keep
laughter.
the monkeypox,
The
please.
monkeypox will stay. All right. So going around the room, I of course give a thumbs up to Gladiator. Ryan gives a
I wish this was a visual experience for you guys.
okay.
Oh,
You know the scene in
Joaquin.
Joaquin. You know the emperor. Thumbs up.
Okay, so you know what? The thumbs up, the emperor, they say in the movie that the emperor gives the thumbs up for live and the thumbs down for die. But actually, in real days, the emperor, when they get to live, they do a thumbs up with his 4 fingers over his thumb.
Interesting. See?
And if they die, well, then that, I don't know what the dying is, but if he gets to live, it's 4 fingers over the thumb means to live. Or he just throws a towel or a cloth in there, or he uses the word dismissed, and the gladiator gets to live.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm going to play the emperor, and I'm going to give it a thumbs up with my 4 fingers over it. It means hell to the yes.
All right. Perfect. Moving on to the next one. This is interesting. I don't know who wrote this. This is the first time I'm going, one of you put this on the
I
list.
sure with my brother's because he's going to pout.
I did not put this on the list. Of this actor's filmography, oh, I know who put this on here.
Hello.
Jess put this on. We're talking about 1989's Kickboxer starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. The movie that came out.
I can actually do the splits better than Jean-Claude.
See?
That will be on DanaBuckler.com.
You can check it out on his Instagram too.
Yes. And if you'd like to see further.
Hashtag DanaBuckler.
more pictures will do. Just email Dana at DanaBuckler@gmail.com.
Thank you, especially for the hashtag. I appreciate that. Kickboxer, 1989. It's worth it just to see him dance in the bar.
I agree.
Jean-Claude was a heck of a dancer. Why this movie over, say, Lionheart or Bloodsport?
You only let me name one, Jean-Claude. So I named his very first one because, Lionheart is my favorite.
They all run together for me.
Yeah.
So, and that's what you said to me. You said, Jess, name
did.
the one. Because you didn't know what movie it was going to be.
No.
But you said they'll all follow suit. And they do.
You did good.
They do.
You did good. At the time, I didn't love this movie because I saw Bloodsport before I saw Kickboxer.
So Bloodsport was first?
Bloodsport was first for me. I'm not saying Bloodsport was first. I think they were all made at the same time.
Not Sukal.
I love the redneck character in Bloodsport.
Oh yeah,
That's just-
he plays ogre in Revenge. He plays ogre in Revenge of the Nerds.
And then Sean Penn was in the next one. Sean Penn played one of the ones in one of the Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Sean Penn.
Oh, you know what? I'm getting the one with Eric Roberts mixed
Yes,
up.
you're thinking Best of the Best.
Oh, Jeezies.
Not Sean Penn. A movie I saw.
I
in
should have
the
put Best of the Best because I love it, and you can't get it on Netflix or anything.
Best
You
of the
have to pay
Best.
for it.
Also came out in '88. Eric Roberts, James Earl Jones. Not a bad movie. Not a bad movie at all. They made several sequels.
You want to know my favorite James Earl Jones role?
Go.
Field of Dreams.
He's great in that. He plays Terrence Mann in that movie.
Well, do you know that Jean-Claude Van Damme knows 4 martial arts? Taekwondo, kickboxing.
Muay Thai?
Yeah, that's what it is. I didn't know how to pronounce it. And there's one other one. It is, karate.
Karate.
And
Does he know jujitsu?
I didn't know that he knew jujitsu, but God bless you.
I would have to bet he knows Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Oh, God bless you. So how would you compare Jean-Claude to Steven Seagal?
Way cooler.
There's no comparison. Like Jean-Claude Van Damme, first of all, has had the more successful career. Both of them would have what I would describe as tarnished legacies because they've done a lot of shitty things in their personal life. But Seagal he's off. He's off.
Shitty things have they done?
Well, I mean, Van Damme was, and this is not a secret. He was abused cocaine terribly. Was
ditto. Lots
of infidelities with his wives. Was said to have been abusive to his wives. Things like that. So, but Seagal just went off. The deep end.
I heard that he ruptured one of his testicles doing the splits.
Have you seen Jean-Claude recently?
He
looks great.
He looks good.
amazing.
He actually does.
Have you seen Steven Seagal recently?
Yeah.
Steven Seagal Lawman.
Yeah,
Do you ever watch the Steven Seagal Lawman show? YouTube it.
But you really would have no idea that he ruptured one of his testicles the way he still does the splits.
Yeah.
And the way Steven Seagal runs.
All right.
Yeah, he runs I hate to say it, but not a female because some people
kind of like a waddling penguin.
Okay, so
hands his hands.
I am going to say before I ask for the thumbs up, this is what I'll say. Wasn't crazy about the movie when I saw it as an 11 or 12-year-old because I thought Bloodsport was the better movie, but now I just love all those old canon films from the 1980s. So Kickboxer for me, big thumbs up.
Big thumbs up times 2.
I'm going to go thumbs down because I love Bloodsport.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but I'm going to put them all in the same category.
That's one of the reasons why I give it a thumbs down is because they all roll in, and the only one I can remember the best is Bloodsport. Because it was the best.
You're making a mistake.
I still think Bloodsport is the best Van Damme movie. She'll tell you, Lionheart. The best Seagal movie is Under Siege.
Well, definitely.
Okay, so we're on to our next one on Random Movie Memories. Pulling another movie out of the Jaws lunchbox. And we have...
We don't have to do this one. That was a surprise one.
Cocaine Bear.
Oh, my favorite. I did a 60-second movie review on YouTube on this one.
That's all I know about it.
Yes. Okay.
Well, actually, I know it's on Amazon.
So Cocaine Bear is a movie that came out earlier this year. It was one of 3 Universal films that did surprisingly well. A low-budget film. We're talking about Knock at the Cabin, Megan, and Cocaine Bear. All 3 of those movies were made for less than $20 million apiece. And Cocaine Bear was loosely inspired by...
Did you say Megan?
Let me ask you a serious question.
Yes, please.
With a movie, when you say low budget, now $20 million sounds like a lot to me. What would accumulate $20 million worth of budget in a movie like Cocaine Bear?
Oh, my goodness. Well, let's see. Well...
There's a great cast involved.
But so here's by comparison. Typical Marvel movie, 250 to 300 million to make one of those films. So 20 million by today's standards is considered a very low budget. Everything costs money. All right. Actor salaries probably going to chew up about $5 million of that $20 million.
You got Ray
budget.
Liotta in this movie. You got Kerry Russell in this movie.
She's in that show, that Amazon show, right? With their communist.
The Americans.
The Americans, yeah, that show's great.
And you've got Ice Cube's son, which is
O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Yep, and he's really funny in that.
So on location, I mean, everything just. This is just the licensing alone for the music.
You got a buttload of cocaine involved. I mean, you got to pay for the cocaine.
So from what I understand, back in the 80s, there was an airplane that was smuggling cocaine. They dropped their load, and a bear supposedly had gotten into it. And that is the extent of the real cocaine bear story. So this is loosely based on it. I sat down and watched this with Jess because I was kind of like, I'm never going to watch this movie.
And he was wrong.
And I found it to be very watchable. I was just kind of curious to see where it was going to go. And the movie goes for it. And it was directed by Elizabeth Banks. And it's perfectly fine. And
I think she does such a great job with it. Ryan, remember that time you did that line of Coke and you sneezed it all out? And it was like a really wasted... Never mind. I'll edit that out.
Snip, snip.
Yeah.
Okay. What'd you say? What was the last thing you said?
I found it to be just a very... the movie's fine.
And it's more than fine, but we'll let it go at that. It's really...
What's its Amazon rating?
I don't know.
It's got some Rotten Tomatoes involved, but you know what?
I pay more attention to an Amazon rating than with Rotten Tomatoes for an Amazon original.
Can go suck an egg.
I bet you pay that $100 for Prime, don't you?
Well, you know what? The more Rotten Tomatoes a movie gets, the more I usually wind up liking the movie. And it's funny. Cocaine Bear is really, really funny. And I give it... Okay, so you guys, whatever, I'm giving it a thumbs up.
I'm giving it a thumbs up because my sister did.
Thank you.
And I'm going to give it a mild thumbs up because it's 90 minutes long and it's absolutely, utterly ridiculous, but in a fun way. It really is.
Thank you.
It doesn't take itself too serious. All right, so on to the next one. Half-Baked.
This one's mine.
You should know all about that, Ryan.
One of my favorite comedians, Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer, he's great in that movie.
And Dave Chappelle, obviously. But Jim Brewer, this is where I stumbled upon Jim Brewer. Even before, I know he's a huge SNL, all that. But this is where I discovered Jim Brewer. And I have followed him ever since. And when I started watching this kid when I was a young teen.
The character he does in Half-Baked is so outrageously funny. Like, he's terrific. I think the movie is great. I'll be honest, I haven't seen it in 20 years. But after seeing Dave Chappelle at Madison Square Garden last week, I can honestly say,
gotta be good.
F you, you're cool. I'm out of here.
Anything with Dave Chappelle, I'm in. Thumbs up.
That was a big movie when it came out because I was, I think, probably 20 years old. Everybody in my friend circle, we watched that movie almost every day. And I wasn't a weed smoker. And I still am I'm not to this day.
I need to watch that movie sober.
Yes, you do.
All right. So what are your thoughts on Half-Baked?
Well, I'm embarrassed to say, but I've never seen the movie.
Oh, interesting.
Because I'm not a pot smoker like my brother was.
Well, you would love it regardless. Jim Brewer has never done drugs. He's not. Yeah. Well, he might have done drugs, but he does not smoke weed. He does not do any sort of cocaine, anything like that.
I
don't even think he may drink a little bit, but that's what caught me off guard. Is Jim Brewer doesn't even smoke weed. And
I'm around enough pot smokers that I could probably do a pretty good weed smoking character. But
I'll say this: probably one of the most eye-opening parts of that movie for anyone that was my age or older when that film came out was to find out that America's favorite dad, Bob Saget, the scene he has in that movie when they're at rehab, when they're at like a Narcotics Anonymous meeting.
I'm not going to say it.
Not going to say it. But made people do spit takes because he was on Full House and he was on America's Funniest Home Videos and he was wholesome as wholesome can be. But anyone who actually knew Bob Saget as far as his stand-up knew that he was one of the raunchiest comedians out there.
Kind of like Robin Williams. Who would think that,
Yeah. So
and then two great
I wish I had
comedians that are
the
gone.
honor of watching the two of them on stand-up.
Yeah.
It's a shame we can't.
Big thumbs up for me on Half Baked.
Okay, thumbs up.
Huge thumbs up.
All right, next up we have
Blunts up.
1997, Good Will Hunting.
I know who to put that one in.
All right, Ryan, have you seen Good Will Hunting?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Very, very high up.
Yeah, excellent film, excellent performances. You've seen the first 40 minutes of the movie?
You know what, though? I've seen enough of it to know that you look like Matt Damon, Dana.
Oh, thank you. How do you like them apples?
I think you're more cute
Oh,
than him.
I think you're way cooler than Matt Damon.
Well, thank you. Not much to say about this movie besides Robin Williams wins an Academy Award for his performance. This Matt Damon and Ben Affleck wrote this movie. Took them 6 years to get it made, and they won an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay, and their careers took off after this. So it's an incredible film. So massive thumbs up for me on this film.
And aren't you working on a screenplay yourself?
I am.
And I can't wait for you to get that ball going.
Okay.
I love Matt Damon, Ben Affleck movies. I really do. Like Town.
The Town?
Yeah.
The Town is excellent. Okay. Did you see Air? Have you watched Air yet?
No.
This is the new one where they work for Nike.
Yeah, they have a ton of... The cast is huge, right?
Air is one of those movies where you know the outcome of the movie. It's Nike trying to sign Michael Jordan. And even though you know the outcome, you're still like, how are they going to do this? It's a really good movie. Really good movie. I strongly recommend it. Okay, next on the list. So big thumbs up for Good Will Hunting?
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. Next on the list. Well, I know who put this one on there. Celebrating its 40th anniversary this year, we have the sequel to Saturday Night Fever.
Oh,
This would be 1983's Staying Alive, starring John Travolta.
my favorite.
This is...
Staying alive. Staying alive.
Actually, Frank Stallone did most of the soundtrack to Staying Alive, not the Bee Gees.
You are correct on that. So the Bee Gees did contribute some music.
They did.
But this was more or less the Frank Stallone soundtrack. And the reason behind that is because who directed Staying Alive, Jess?
Sylvester Stallone. One of my favorite actors.
And
John Travolta, number one. Sly, number two.
Interesting thing about this movie is having Sylvester Stallone direct the sequel to Saturday Night Fever. In 1982, when this movie was in pre-production, it came out in 83, but when you sign Stallone to direct your movie, Stallone is the hottest thing in Hollywood at the time because he is coming off of 3 Rocky movies, which are wildly successful. He has just done First Blood. He's introduced the character of Rambo. This guy, everything he touches turns to gold. So why not bring him on board? Now, John Travolta did not want to do the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, but he was contractually obligated to make the movie, and he really did not want to do it.
However,
But once he found out that Stallone was on board, he agreed to do the movie. Staying Alive is often much maligned. It was, although it made a ton of money when it came out in 1983, it was not critically well received by both critics and fans. But watching it recently, rewatching the movie in preparation for an episode on it that we're going to do a little later on.
Who is we?
You and I.
Oh.
I think it's going to be I think it's a fascinating look at not only the continuing saga of Tony, because he was the big fish in Brooklyn. Then when he goes over to Manhattan, he is trying to make it in the Broadway scene. And it's an unflinching look of what it takes to get into that
Never
world.
looked better. He never looked better. And his dancing moves, if you like Saturday Night Fever dancing moves, you should see him doing Staying Alive on the Broadway show Satan's Alley.
Yeah.
He looks the best he's ever looked. He dropped 20 pounds doing it, and he did it within 6 months. And under Sylvester Stallone's supervision, which I thought was kind of fascinating.
Have you seen Staying Alive?
All right, here's my input. Now, everybody who's listening, don't get upset, but I've never seen it.
That's
For
all right.
someone who's got a
And-
male crush on Sylvester
Now-
Stallone, this is the one for you, Ryan.
You mean Travolta?
Oh my God! Yeah.
So
but
here, listen,
I thought
listen.
you said you liked Sly too.
Oh, I love
because you watched
Sylvester
his
Stallone. First Blood. Oh man,
very
come on.
gentle porn movie.
Sorry, Dan.
Well, you did, didn't you?
I did.
All right. So I'm going to go. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go
So
ahead.
one I want to say is, so with John Travolta, I love him, but I'm accustomed with his late career stuff.
His
yes.
post Pulp Fiction, 94 and beyond.
So him in Pulp Fiction, amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. But everything, nah, Pulp Fiction and beyond is what I'm more accustomed to, just because my age. Now, I've seen Saturday Night Fever, Staying Alive, because the person sitting to my right.
You're welcome.
When I was a young boy, a little tyke.
Do you remember when the theme song came on in the beginning? Dun, 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 dun.
No.
Da, 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 da. This is the end. Dun, 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 dun. Come on, babe.
No, I'm good. We're good.
Anywho.
Dana's actually dancing right now.
Yeah. I can't sing and dance at the same time.
Really good. He looks almost as good as John.
Yes.
But,
With white socks and and those black loafers.
and a black tight leotard.
Now you understand why I decided to wear this outfit. So, all right. So, obviously, I'm giving thumbs up to Staying Alive.
Friggin' A, 2 thumbs up. Bam.
Who stars in it?
John Travolta.
Hey, thumbs up, baby.
And Cynthia Rhodes, by the way, and Fiona Hughes from General Hospital, Anna Devane. We can keep going. Frank Stallone
Plays Carl.
Plays Carl.
He
Funny.
plays a mean guitar.
Yeah, we just say that for our 40th anniversary.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the next one. All right. From 1995, David Fincher directed Seven.
I love that movie. But I'm not going to tell you if I'm giving a thumbs up or not yet. Go ahead.
Saw this movie in the theater. Now, what this film does, so this was besides a couple things of note. All right. So this comes out in 95. Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt, Gwyneth Paltrow. So Morgan Freeman is coming off of probably the greatest performances of his career in 1994, The Shawshank Redemption.
Nice.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Robin Hood.
Follows that up with this film. Brad Pitt, by this point, hasn't yet reached superstar status, but he is getting there. Legends of the Fall has already come out, but this is kind of the movie that takes him to another level. And then, of course,
Gwyneth Paltrow's
was
first.
Fight Club before or after?
Fight Club is going to be 4 years after in 1999.
Gwyneth Paltrow's first movie?
Not her first movie, but
There's
probably
no dumb
one of her.
questions here, Jess.
Because she played a victim in a serial killer movie, Gwyneth Paltrow did, with Alec Baldwin and Nicole Kidman.
Malice.
Yes. Was that her first?
Probably. It's the first.
Okay.
It's the first one I can
Okay.
think of. Okay. So Seven also does one of the what's unique about Seven that is done also in Silence of the Lambs in a very underrated movie from 1990 called The Exorcist 3 is doesn't actually show you the crimes happen. The crimes are described in great detail after the fact, which leads it up to your imagination, which is far more terrifying. So that is a really unique twist on how they do that movie. Kevin Spacey, it's kind of one of his first movies. He's going to be in the same year. He's going to be in The Usual Suspects, which is a movie that he's more well known for. But both The Usual Suspects and Seven come out in the same year, and his career takes off after this. Seven's good. Seven's a good movie.
So what's your favorite deadly sin death?
Well, the most disturbing one for me would have been the gluttony one. And then the one where the gentleman is forced to wear a contraption.
Ooh, it was bad.
Yeah, I'm not going to go any further than that. Mm-hmm. He's forced to do something with a lady wearing a device. I'll leave it at that. Is also
A
very rough.
strap-on, babe?
The gluttony one bothered me when I first saw it. I was a kid. I was exposed to a lot of movies I shouldn't have been by my sister.
Sorry. You mean Kimber?
Yes, Kimber.
The one where the guy is kept alive for a year.
Oh, that was gnarly.
When he actually wakes up.
Yeah.
That was... one of the things I thought was so crazy about them when you walk into the bedroom, they got all the car fresheners hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Like those little attention to details right there. So this movie is directed by David Fincher, who...
Did he do The Bone Collector?
No, he didn't do The Bone Collector.
Because those, for some reason, for me, Seven and The Bone Collector are very similar.
This is a very important movie.
I agree with you.
It's a very important movie for David Fincher because his previous movie is Alien 3, which famously he directed, but the studio took it away from him and recut the film, and it movie is considered a disaster.
I liked Alien 3, but
Alien 3 is good, but you have to watch the assembly
franchise.
cut. And then he's going to do The Game, which is a good
Douglas.
film. And then he's going to do Fight Club in 1999, which we all remember, but people forget was a box office disaster when it came out.
Fight Club was?
Fight Club.
I remember my
yeah.
brother loved Fight Club, Ryan. Remember that? And I tried to watch it. I've tried to watch it several times, even to this day, and I just can't get into Fight Club.
So, side note on Fight Club, we actually, when I was in high school, we had a little fight club, and we'd all bare knuckle fight. It was. I feel like it did a lot of that for people my age at the time.
Boys will be boys.
Now listen,
So,
aren't you breaking the first rule?
Oh, Dana, cut snip.
No snip.
You're not.
I like
the first rule of the Fight Club is you're not allowed to talk about Fight Club.
You're a loser.
Well, it wasn't a real. It only happened one time. I think I got my ass kicked and then I left.
Probably deserving.
Who wrote the book Fight Club? Smarty Pants.
Probably Mark Twain.
No, it was
David Allen.
No, hang on a second. No,
David Allen. No.
Yeah. I knew. I would. You know what? Only because that guy's been
Edward
on Joe
Allan
Rogan.
Poe is what I meant. Jeez.
He's been on Joe Rogan.
Chuck Palahniuk.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna give 7 a big thumbs up.
I think that
I'm gonna give it 7 thumbs up.
I loved Morgan Freeman in the movie. Mm-hmm. I didn't love Brad Pitt. He still had a lot to learn about acting. So it wasn't one of his best performances. However, I'm going to say thumbs up because it's a good thriller.
Thumbs up for sure, but Kevin Spacey was awesome in it.
Do you know why that movie gives so many people anxiety? And this is a conscious choice by David Fincher, is because, with the exception of the end of the film, it's always raining. In that movie, it's always raining, and rain makes people feel a certain way. In the entire movie, it's always raining.
However, I love rain. It's my favorite weather.
Right. But for most people,
that's one of the things I loved about the movie.
Rain will put people in a different mood, a different mindset.
That took place in New York, right?
Actually, the city is never named. It's just called Metro City.
Wow.
And it's never named, but it's clearly filmed in Los Angeles.
Have I ever told you how wickedly talented you are?
Oh. Well, no, but thank you.
You are.
Thank you very much. That's very nice of you to say.
I give it a thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. All right. So next one we got from 1986, starring Steve Guttenberg and Ali Sheedy and Fisher Stevens. Short Circuit.
Oh, my brother won't know this, but I definitely do.
I've heard of it.
Why don't you sit this one out, Ryan?
I'm a timeout.
Dana.
Short Circuit. Okay. Remarkable movie as far as really cool animatronic special effects. For those who don't know Short Circuit, it is about a company that has been contracted by the military to create robots to replace soldiers on the battlefield. And one of the robots is struck by lightning and becomes sentient and becomes alive. And it's him being hidden by Ali Sheedy and Steve Guttenberg. And it's them on the run where the government's trying to find the robot. It's a comedy. And it's a movie that we would still be talking about today. However, the film is forever tarnished because Fisher Stevens, who is a white man, plays a man from India, right down to the very stereotypical Indian accent. And so the film is now problematic by today's standards.
Is it really?
So I have a question on that. Was he just playing the role?
Yes.
Was he actually hired out to play the role, that was his job that he was hired to do?
Exactly. Yeah. No, and I'm not saying, listen, I'm just telling you why the film hasn't endured longer than, because it's actually a pretty fun and pretty enjoyable movie. And it's got a great theme song by DeBarge. Who's Johnny?
Who is Johnny?
You know the song, yeah.
So Steve Guttenberg, funny. Love the Police Academy movies, of course. However, where'd he go?
He disappeared.
Yeah, I thought it had to do with him wanting to take a break from Hollywood. But Ali Sheedy, Home Alone 2 was the last time she made an appearance in a movie.
I don't even know.
Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
So Jessica and I actually watched Police Academy a few months ago together, and I looked up Steve Guttenberg, and he took a
hiatus,
but it ended up being, I'm done, to be with his family and have a normal life.
Amazing.
He made a ton of money.
I forgot you watched that with me. That meant a lot.
So in the 80s, he's in 4 Police Academy movies. He's in Short Circuit. He's in Cocoon. But he had the right people behind him to where he was getting residuals from these Police Academy movies, from Short Circuit. So he didn't just get a salary. He got royalties from these movies. And some of these movies made a ton. I mean, he made millions in the 80s.
He did play in Look Who's Talking, didn't he?
No, that was John Travolta.
What was trying to think? Oh, the one with Tom Selleck. Which one's that?
3 Men and a Baby.
3 Men and a Baby. I'm so sorry,
and
everyone.
the sequel, 3 Men and a Little Lady.
Yes, I didn't mean to say the one, Look Who's Talking.
What's the movie where They go to, I think it's like the Hamptons or something, and their boss is dead.
That's Weekend at Bernie's from
Is he in
1989.
that?
No,
No.
that's going to be Andrew McCarthy and Jonathan
Andrew
Silverman.
McCarthy.
Okay.
He's from the Brat Pack for sure.
I just
but
recently
Steve Gutenberg's
watched
not the
that
Brat
for
Pack.
the first time.
It's pretty entertaining.
It's really good.
It's a pretty entertaining film. I liked Weekend at Bernie's.
Me too.
So Short Circuit, and they also came out with a sequel. So here's the thing. They come out with a sequel. Short Circuit 2 comes out a couple years later. Steve Gutenberg's not in it. So they double down on Fisher Stevens' character and make him the star of the movie. And nobody sees that film anymore because they really go all in on Fisher Stevens playing this character. So
It's funny how the right casting can make or break a movie.
yeah. So I'm going to give, even though it's problematic by today's standards, I'm still going to give Short Circuit a thumbs up.
And how can I not give it a thumbs up? It's one of the classic 80s.
Yeah,
It's
classic 80s movie.
Well, I love me some controversy, so I'm going to watch it and give it a thumbs up.
There we
That's
go.
it. That's it, baby bro.
All right, so the next movie is going to be very interesting because it's actually one that I haven't seen. I know, crazy as it sounds, I haven't seen every movie that's ever come out, but I still want to have a conversation about this because I don't know who put this on the list.
Well, since I gave you a hint about something that would have gave it completely away, it's probably Lonesome Dove.
It is Lonesome
Oh,
Dove.
Clint Eastwood.
I don't think Clint Eastwood's been in that movie, but he might have seen it.
That's what I meant.
So, Ryan, let me ask you a question. You added this to the list. The name is obviously it's an iconic name. I know it's been around forever, but I don't know anything about Lonesome Dove. I don't even know what the story is about.
So Lonesome Dove stars Robert Duvall, Tommy Lee Jones, and Danny Glover. And it started as a TV miniseries, and Danny, this is where my weakness comes in.
Yeah.
It's probably in the early 80s.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's almost like it has a Little House on the Prairie to it type
Yes,
cinematography
Yeah.
feel. And I don't know, it's just one of my favorite nostalgic feeling movies when I live in Texas.
You remind me of someone who would be in Little House on the Prairie. You get that. You give me that feeling.
Like which one you think like
Like a wholesome,
like
young-
hoe in the field, like gardener.
Yeah, working hard. He loans a wholesome boy.
Is the pie
doing the right
done,
thing.
Paul?
Yep, yeah.
See, that's what I'm talking
Milking the
about.
cow in the morning and tending the fields,
Churning the butter.
churning the butter,
That's pretty. Shoeing the horses.
running into town to get the wheat, to plant the harvest,
Keep going.
Getting the chuck wagon all set up.
slaughtering the pig.
That's pretty good. And then you're going to the sewing bee.
Yeah.
And then there's
So I can make an Afghan.
And then Friday nights it's the hoot nanny.
I'm going over to do the hoedown and do the square dance.
And Jesse's emptying the spittoon.
All right.
Oh, Granny.
So
oh,
here,
baby.
since Dana hasn't seen Lonesome Dove, let me sum it up. It's a
Granny's
great
rocking in a
movie.
rocking chair, doing her dip and her spittoon.
If you're in Texas and you're visiting Texas and you're a movie buff and you want to watch a movie that's 3 hours plus,
I would like to remind everybody that we are recording this in Austin, Texas, as we speak. My first time here, by the way. Love this city. I've had a great time here so far.
And if you look out the window, you will see an old lady rocking with a spittoon in her lap. I give it a thumbs down.
Have you ever seen Lonesome Dove?
No.
No.
it's a classic. And you should watch it.
Way
But
before my
I'm giving
time.
it a thumbs up. I'm appalled, but I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
All right. So we're going to do two more. The next one is an interesting film. All right. This is going to be directed by Christopher Nolan. It's going to come out in 2006. So what happens is Christopher Nolan does Memento, very popular movie. Then he does a studio picture called Insomnia in 2003. Robin Williams, Al Pacino. All right. Then he is brought on to help revitalize the Batman, the dormant Batman franchise, because interestingly enough, 1989's Batman, very successful. Batman Returns, successful, not as successful. Then Tim Burton hands the reins off to Joel Schumacher, who in 95 does Batman Forever. Those who don't remember, this is the Jim Carrey as the Riddler, Tom Lee Jones as Two-Face, Val Kilmer as Batman. It's not great, but it's a masterpiece compared to 1997's Batman and Robin, which has Clooney playing Batman, has Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
They didn't
Is
do
Uma
good.
Thurman in that one?
Uma Thurman plays Poison Ivy. Not good movie. Actually, terrible.
Jim Carrey's the Joker.
Jim Carrey's the Riddler in,
the Riddler,
in
sorry.
95. In 95,
How could that bomb?
it did bomb. It was awful.
It was, yeah.
So,
it was too comic
so
booky.
Warner Brothers just pulls the plug on Batman. And when they finally decide, after the success of both Spider-Man and X-Men in the early 2000s, Warner Brothers says, well, we've got the Batman franchise, the Batman IP. They come to Christopher Nolan and they say, we think you're the perfect person to make a Batman movie. And in 2005, we get Batman Begins, a movie that I'll admit, I didn't even see in the theater till 3 weeks after it came out because I was still so turned off by what they had done to the Batman franchise. Like, I didn't want to see this. And then I finally saw it. And I was like, oh, this is actually really good. So Batman Begins is modestly successful, makes about $600 million. Warner Brothers immediately comes to Christopher Nolan and says, we want another Batman movie. We want you to do a sequel. He says, I'll do a sequel if you let me make my movie next. And they literally do this for him. So he does the movie I've got in my hand here, The Prestige, in 2006. Successful. Then he does The Dark Knight in 2008, makes $1 billion. They say, we want a sequel to The Dark Knight. And he says, not unless you let me make my movie next. They say, all right, go ahead and make it. And that's Inception in 2010. And then he does The Dark Knight Rises. But he begins this relationship with Warner Brothers where it's one for them, one for me. And the first one that was for him was The Prestige.
Dana, you explain that.
Mark Harmon, correct?
It's made my day because The Prestige is one of my favorite movies, and I had no idea that's the lead up to how.
Yeah.
Is that Mark Harmon?
No, no. Mark Harmon is Summer School from 1987.
He didn't play in The Prestige?
So The Prestige is
Hugh Jackman.
Oh, that's what I meant to
and
say.
Christian Bale.
Please, what did I write down here? Christian Bale. But
He
that's
also
not why.
plays, spoiler alert, 2 roles.
That's correct.
What I was going to ask about Christian Bale is which Batman movie did we like? Did we like Christian Bale's?
Yes, we loved Christian Bale's
And which
Batman.
was he?
He was the Christopher Nolan Batman. This is
Batman Returns.
Okay, I'm going to give that one.
Sorry.
This is Batman Begins,
Rise of-
The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight
I'm a
Rises.
fan of Christian Bale.
So this is Heath Ledger Joker, Tom Hardy Bane. Christian Bale is Batman in both of those movies.
What the heck did Mark Harmon play in? It starts with a P.
Summer School
No,
in
not that one.
1987.
Something like The Prestige. What's the movie you're putting on here?
The Prestige.
Are you sure that he's not in it?
He might be in the movie.
I need him to be in this
It might
movie
be.
to save my reputation of the movies.
All right, so and I agree. An incredible movie, awesome performances. Interestingly enough, a movie came out the same year called The Illusionist, which is also a good movie, but it's one of those. This happens every once in a while. Hollywood will release 2 movies on the same subject in the same year. Think of movies like Volcano and Dante's Peak, Deep Impact, Armageddon, White House Down, Olympus Has Fallen. This happens from time to time. So Jess, your thoughts on The Prestige?
Good movie, not great. Not one of my favorites. I'm not going to downplay it because it wasn't one of my favorites. I'm going to give it a sideways thumb because I can't give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It's going to get a sideways thumb.
My thoughts on The Prestige, I'm going to rank it in the Nolan universe of films. All right. So it's probably the Christopher Nolan film I revisit the least. And I say that because every time I do watch it, I'm like, I need to watch this more often. This is a really good film.
You should give it a sideways thumb.
So I'm giving it a thumbs up. It's definitely getting a thumbs up for me.
So for me, obviously I'm the one that put it in there. With all of Christopher Nolan's movies, it's probably my favorite.
All right, but you still haven't seen Tenet yet.
But I haven't seen Tenet, but I want to
Oppenheimer.
tell you why.
Okay.
Now, Interstellar is on the verge of one of my favorites as
Interstellar is amazing.
Or
movie.
the Presidio.
Because
Presidio.
the soundtrack to Interstellar is killer.
Oh, Hans Zimmer. Yeah.
Some Hans Zimmer, we could put that on.
I like Hans Christian
shout out to
Andersen.
my nephew Samuel, who is a really good pianist, and he can play the entire Interstellar.
He must be very talented.
He's very
soundtrack.
talented.
Yeah,
I've heard him play.
He can play the entire soundtrack, musical score from start to finish on the piano. It's incredible.
So that's awesome because that's not Hans Zimmer. Anything Hans Zimmer is very difficult. But the reason why the Prestige is up there for me is just because of the impact of holy crap when you get the
reveal.
The reveal. of
Which
what's
we're not going to
going on.
spoil.
Yeah, we won't spoil it. I gave a little hint, but I won't say it again.
Yeah.
That's why.
All right.
I love it.
Yep. All right. So we're on to the last movie on Random Movie Memories. Now, this is a movie that came out in 1995, cleaned up at the Oscars that year, was directed by a director/actor who some would say became somewhat problematic throughout his later years.
Call what you want.
But also became ridiculously wealthy because this particular director, Mel Gibson, self-financed The Passion of the Christ, put his own money into that movie, and it made $1 billion.
Oh, yeah.
And he is still doing really well off that. But we're talking about the movie that he wrote, he directed, he starred in, he produced, he edited, and this is Braveheart.
Braveheart. All-time favorite.
The story of William Wallace, much like Gladiator, has been criticized for being extremely factually inaccurate, but it doesn't change the fact that, oh my God, it's a good movie. I saw this as a 17-year-old in high school. The trailers do not give you any indication of how violent the movie is going to be. And it takes about a half an hour for shit to hit the fan. And when it does, you're like, oh my God, you're seeing limbs getting chopped off. As a 17-year-old, I couldn't handle it. Incredible movie, incredible score, incredible soundtrack, musical score. It's amazing. Jess, you added this to the list.
Well, it went down in history as the least inaccurate movie ever made. And it picked up 5 Academy Awards.
Yeah.
This is my all-time favorite movie. Gosh, I say that because I love The Revenant and of course I love Gladiator. But Braveheart, it's monumental. I love that whole time, the period. The costumes, the acting. Mel Gibson is one of my favorites. He's fantastic. I love The Patriot. I love almost everything Mel Gibson does, even to the stuff he's doing now that doesn't, or grade B movies. Well,
Hacksaw Ridge was pretty damn good.
Which is the one where his daughter gets abducted or she gets into drugs and he's trying to help her. Bloodfather. That's really good.
Yeah.
I like him in Get the Gringo.
Yeah, Get the Gringo is good.
I didn't see Get the Gringo.
Have either of you seen Hacksaw Ridge?
Do you mean We Were Soldiers?
No, I mean Hacksaw Ridge.
Okay. I did not, but I
We Were
want
Soldiers
to.
was excellent,
Yes.
but Hacksaw Ridge is a World War II drama.
Yep.
Did he direct it?
He did direct it.
I didn't know that.
It came out about 4 or 5 years ago, and much like Braveheart, the movie gives you no indication of just how fucking violent it's going to be.
His AA meetings are paying off. He's still directing really good stuff.
So here's a question for you.
Go ahead.
Dana. Is this true or false that when he was young, he was in a really bad car accident and had total facial reconstruction?
I haven't heard that story, but I don't know if that's true or not, but I can tell you, having watched some, because he is Australian, and having watched some of his early Australian movies, the original Mad Max.
Was he born in New York and then he moved to Australia?
That might be the case.
And if you look very closely, you can see minute scars on his face.
Sure. So, I've actually never heard that, but I'm not going to say it's not true because I don't know.
Mess up those baby blues, though.
But I do know he has looked the same since '79 when Mad Max came out. He's continuously looked the same since then. I don't know. That's a great question.
It's worth a goog. Google it, people.
So, Braveheart's an incredible movie. Excellent job adding that to the
beginning
list.
to the end, the intensity of the movie, all the way at the end when they throw that sword and it waves back and forth. It's just something about it brings a tear to my eye.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite execution scenes.
It's
freedom!
When he yells that out at the end, my theater in '95 started applauding.
Noble. Ryan, do freedom. Did I do freedom good?
You did good. Yeah.
Anyway, intense all the way to the end.
Yep.
It goes up there with one of the best movies ever made.
Well said. Well said. And on that note, thumbs up for me.
Thumbs up for me.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Random Movie Memories. Jessica, Ryan, thank you so much for being on the show. This was fun.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So
Anytime.
We will we'll do this again sometime.
I may paint my face like William Wallace next
tonight?
time.
All right, perfect.
Yes.
Excellent.
That's all in that.
Perfect. All right, guys. So thank you so much for listening. If you want to follow this show on social media, I'm on X, which was formerly Twitter, at DanaBuckler Show. You can email me, thedanabucklershow@gmail.com. I'm on Instagram at @DanaBuckler. And you can follow the show on Instagram at @DanaBuckler Show. So once again, for Jesse and Ryan, my name is Dana, and thank you so much for listening.